It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Peter M.
Let's get started. If you could spend a day with any of your creations, who would it be, and what would you do/talk about?
To be super indulgent, I'd hang out with the crew of Fortune's Lap and let them know what everything has entailed. That things will be okay, that their creator does have a grand design. And when they start to ask, okay, but why all of this hardship and drama and stuff, I would say, because it's good storytelling. And then immediately retreat back to reality before they eviscerate me on the spot.
And of course, you would say that with a good old hashtag knowing smile. Nice. We all know that Sonic goes by a certain moral code that, whenever possible, allows him to defeat his enemies without killing or incarcerating them, specifically Eggman. It's his own style that he won't change. But what if Eggman was defeated by one of Sonic's far less merciful allies like Shadow, Espio, or Whisper? Assuming the Hedgehog isn't present at the scene, would they still respect Sonic's morals or take advantage of his absence and rid the world of the Doctor once and for all?
I think Espio would be given pause and would second guess himself. Whisper, we've kind of already shown she'd pull the trigger. Like, maybe she'd feel guilty about it, but she'd pull the trigger. Shadow wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate to draw out the whole Sonic characterization/mercy debate because I know how much you've grown sick of it, but I just had to ask. Regardless of whether IDW Sonic is consistent with other portrayals, he has at least been consistent within this particular series, mostly. In issue 23, during Sonic and Eggman's confrontation over Windmill Village, Eggman says, "One last battle before you're my Zombot slave," to which Sonic replies, "One last butt-kicking before we lock you away forever," obviously implying imprisonment. Now, in hindsight, I see this as Sonic temporarily losing his cool because of all he was going through then, and that didn't really mean what he said, and that he didn't really mean what he said. What is your take on it?
That's pretty much it. It's kind of along the lines of the more confrontational lines he threw at Infinite during their boss fights.
Yeah, but he didn't say, like, he's gonna, like, kill Eggman this time. I think he's only said that.
He's dialing it back a bit.
He said that before, but I think that was just an Archie Sonic thing. And here we got this one here. Death Battle. Vector the Crocodile versus King K. Rool. Who wins?
Oh, Vector by a mile. Come on.
What can King K. Rool do? Throw a freaking crown? Whoop-de-doo.
Like, King Rool has been consistently thwomped.
He has a cannon.
By Donkey Kong.
Oh, boy.
Donkey Kong, who is incredibly powerful, sure, but Vector is an equally powerful individual. Plus, he's got the smooth moves.
Yeah.
He's all Donkey Kong can bring to the fight and more. K. Rool's got no chance.
Yeah. The chat is saying that K. Rool can bust a move, but Vector, I'm sorry, Vector. This is a man who like permanently has headphones glued to his head. Yeah. No. It's not even a. Not even a contest. And our next question, for both Ian and Kyle, what do you think your biggest hot take on the Sonic series is? Don't worry, there is definitely not an army of shadow androids standing right behind you.
I'll take the shadow androids over the angry fandom any day.
I mean, yeah, same.
I don't know if I have a particular hot take.
My biggest hot take is that Shadow should have stayed dead after SA2.
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like every other thing I say is taken as a hot take when at most it's lukewarm. Tepid. Like deli sandwich heat temperature. It's meant for easy consumption.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be mine, though, is definitely Shadow. Should have stayed dead after SA2. Not because I dislike Shadow, but because, I mean, it just kind of undercuts the whole story of the game by having him come back. It's like, it was a very self-contained plot. It could have just stayed that way. Oh well. And our next question, Sonic's dead. Nope, that's it. He's just dead. No, Eggman didn't defeat him. No, there wasn't some tragic accident or ultimate sacrifice. He died in his sleep. Why? Beats me. Maybe it was cardiac arrest from having one too many chili dogs at Chocola's birthday bash. Who knows? Regardless, he is dead. But it's the reaction from Sonic's friends, foes, and most importantly, Eggman, to the Blue Blur's sudden and underwhelming demise.
Well, his friends are devastated, obviously. Like, they're torn out of the frame. This is not something they would have foreseen or wanted or are prepared for. Most of the rivals, they're rather upset too. Like, Jet's going to be pissed that he doesn't get a chance to show up Sonic one last time, establish himself as the true speediest there is. It's going to bother him a lot. Shadow, well, you know how emotive he is, but he's extra quiet and broody for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Eggman, I imagine, would seize upon the opportunity to launch a full-scale attack, because who's going to stand in his way now? Wahaha. Sonic's friends are rallied into action because they're going to fight in his memory, and things go on for a little bit as they do, and then Eggman's chutzpah behind the whole thing just kind of peters out. It's just not the same. There's no Sonic, and it's not like the war. You know, he won that. He beat Sonic, or at least his minions did. The point is, it was his victory. He could claim it.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's no Sonic there, and he's not coming back. There's no surprise last-minute confrontation. It's just him and the Fuzzy Buddies.
Yay.
And eventually, I think he would just kind of like peter out. He's not even showing up to fight anymore. He's just kind of sitting there going, now what? I mean, I want to do it, but I don't have the drive to do it anymore. So he starts like targeting each of the friends, trying to get them to rise up to Sonic's caliber. He needs that challenge. He doesn't have the drive anymore. Tails, get up here. Prove yourself. No, still too early? Hurry it up. I'm
getting very much a Megamind sort of deal here. Eventually, he becomes the hero. I feel like this was a Boom episode. Like, it's not a new Boom episode. It's one that already happened, but, you know. All right, here's another one from Peter M. Previous question again, only this time with a twist. Eggman is dead. Somehow his death is even more disappointing. Cubot mistakenly mixed up the coffee creamer with the engine coolant. Oops. What is the reaction from Sonic and Company? The Badniks, Orbot, Cubot, Metal Sonic, etc. The public, and other foes like Zavik. If he weren't the one meeting him at the gate, how would Starline react?
Cubot's all like, in my defense, the bottles do look really similar.
Mistakenly, quote unquote, accidentally. Yeah, Eggman just fell down the stairs.
I think most folks within Sonic's circle would be relieved to a degree. Maybe a little sad that, you know, he never had a chance to turn around, or, you know, they're not going to celebrate someone's death. That's tacky, but most of them aren't really sad to see him go. Sonic, I think, would be bothered a little bit by it. It wouldn't weigh on his mind forever, but he wouldn't be happy about it. And not just in the whole virtue of wanting the best for everyone in, you know, life in general. It's a big part of his life that's just now gone. And it would weigh on him a little bit. Zavok would laugh. Oh, he would laugh. He would just laugh and laugh and laugh at the weakness of it all. The patheticness of it. It's his favorite joke now. Cubot would feel guilty. Like, I mean, he wasn't designed to kill Eggman. He was designed to serve him. He's gone against his primary function. But now what? What does he do? And Orbot's like, permanent vacation. I don't care. I have no orders anymore. Ah. I mean, Metal Sonic's kind of let off his leash at that point. He can attack Sonic whenever he wants, but he doesn't really have any greater directive beyond that. So, you know, he's a prime candidate for being captured and reprogrammed and turned into yet another friend.
And
Starline.
Starline would be devastated, probably.
Devastated and infuriated.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you decide to go out? After all we've been through?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All we've been through, yes. Yes, of course.
His undying spirit trying as hard as he can to resurrect Eggman. You're going to die. You're going to do it right this time.
Of course. Starline. Oh, Starline. Okay, last Sonic characterization question, I promise. In a recent Japanese exclusive Sonic Twitter Q&A, one of the users asks Sonic where he would find adventure if Eggman were to turn good, to which Sonic responds, Eggman turning good sounds about as likely as chili dogs falling from the sky. Some people have taken this as evidence of Sonic thinking Eggman has no chance of repenting, so there's no justification to let him go in the comics, and are accusing you of fabricating the Sega wants it this way argument. It's stupid, I know, but what is your response?
Number one, thanks for missing the entire point of that question where he goes on to say he'd find adventure anywhere. It's not like he's hung up on Eggman completely. But no. Let's zero in on one particular reading of half the question's response. Yeah.
Whatever makes you look bad, Ian. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I almost don't want to validate this with a response, but you know what? I'm not going to deny Peter M. Peter M is the one who came to us. He came to us on good terms. He deserves an answer. So I'm answering Peter M. Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
If we take into context the joking way that Sonic makes the response, I believe we can infer that there's a degree of levity. He's not taking the question seriously. And to that degree, he's also not taking Eggman as a perpetual threat as seriously.
Right.
Or if that is not sufficient, then I say that's fine. Stand it up next to the consistency of the characterization and writing of the series up to this point. And seems like it fits fine to me.
Alrighty then. What are your guys' thoughts on my biggest hot take? I was going to lump this in with the other question, but I didn't want to take away from your answers. I think that from a plot perspective, Chris Thorndike convincing Shadow to save humanity makes more sense than Amy doing so. From a character perspective, I get it, but Amy had no reason to believe that Shadow had any good in him given what she knew of him, that he framed Sonic and is trying to destroy the world. It would be no different than trying to convince Mephiles to turn good. But Chris was saved by Shadow despite it giving him no advantage, and spends time with him on the Ark trying to put the pieces together, then that something deeper is going on.
Fair enough. Decent enough argument. But to me, it's more of an issue of it robs Amy of one of her main character moments.
Right.
It's not so much Chris makes more sense, it's that it takes Amy's role away from her. And her role in this is being the positive and proactive one. Doesn't make a ton of sense that she's trying to convince Shadow here at the 11th hour. Debatable. But she's also trying to do something. Everyone is doing the best they can. She has to try too. So whether or not she thinks Shadow will turn around, she makes the effort to reach out to him. She tries to sway him because that's all she can do at this point.
Right.
Now, you could also say that she could beat him with the hammer and force him to fix things, but that's not how she was written at that point. Although that would be really funny. He's just staring out the window going, Maria, revenge soon. Pico over the head.
I mean, there's so many problems in the Sonic series that could be solved with a good picoing. I don't know why it doesn't happen more often. Come on, Amy. Come on.
I think that's more my point. It's not that it makes more sense. It's that it's a different approach to the situation and it's a different utilization of the characters. And in a story that's an adaptation of what came before, wholesale cutting out one of the characters and replacing it with an OC to achieve the same goal just rankles me. And robbing Amy of one of her more defining character moments and giving it to Chris just sticks in my craw.
All right, next question. La the Ghost throws a spiritual slumber party at the old house and invites the other three dead damsels, Tikal, Maria, and Cosmo. Being the first time these four are meeting each other, how does the night go? What interactions between the characters do you think would be interesting?
I think it'd be a lovely time.
I was going to say,
they're all lovely individuals.
This sounds very wholesome.
I mean, Law is a bit of a prankster, but if she's inviting them over, I don't think she's going to do anything too overtly menacing.
Maybe that's why she's inviting them over, so she can do something menacing to them. It's kind of that.
They're dead. What are you going to do?
But all right, so we're just assuming everyone's already dead. Okay.
He specifies the dead damsels, so.
Oh, okay, fine. All right.
Law seems to be the most juvenile of the four of them, so maybe they don't quite mesh immediately overnight. But Tikal, Maria, and Cosmo are all such generous, even-tempered individuals. I think they can support each other and Law's antics. it would be a fairly smooth evening. I think Maria especially would be fascinated by the historical and cosmological information she could get out of Tikal and Cosmo.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
I mean, there's also a degree of commiserating over sacrifice for the greater good. You know, it's kind of sad that Tails had to shoot Cosmo with a space gun to turn her into a planet, but at least it was done with someone that she knew, and she knew it was a friendly gesture. Tikal didn't have anybody in the end.
Yeah.
And Maria's like, well, I didn't get to stick around to see if my sacrifice did anything. They kind of did it and tossed me in a body bag and then denied I existed. So I'm glad you guys had, more definitive ends. And Law's like, man, this got dark fast. Hey, do you want to go prank some people who are, around the Haunted Mansion? Yes, let's.
Yes, of course. All right, and we got another one here. Ian, do you ever look back on your time as Ian Potto, the Sonic comic fan, the Sonic fan comic writer? Are there any stories you wrote from that era that you remember fondly? How many stories do you find to be more embarrassing now that you are a seasoned veteran?
All of them.
You don't think there's anything redeemable about any of those old stories?
Looking back, when I make the mistake of doing so, oh boy, I can see how far I've come. What stuff I have carried on to this point, the things that I obviously like to do as just personal writing style, and what the intentions were in the past. But that side of me is done. It has been put to rest. We have long since moved on. There's no need to look it up or dredge it up or find it again. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's done now. I will say though, the old fan comic efforts, the amount of artwork that was contributed by various people over the years is still astounding. The amount of media created on good faith and goodwill alone is humbling still. I mean, most of us were just kids. We were doing it out of the passion of it. But regardless, that's a lot of stuff that was made going off of my idea. And that is incredibly cool. And the desire to have it translated was also incredibly flattering. Still is. So the community that came together to realize it is the greatest positive out of it.
All right. Here's another one from Peter M. Sonic X is what got me into the Sonic franchise. When I first came across it on YouTube a couple years ago, I was fascinated by it and its nostalgic vibe, despite me having no nostalgia for it, which is why I was kind of surprised to hear that Ian wasn't too fond of it. So I figured I'd ask, which version of the show did you watch? I've only seen the uncut, subbed Japanese version, and I was told it was better, and I quite enjoyed it. I tried to give the 4Kids dub a chance, but the horribly obnoxious voices and soundtrack turned me off. I was worried people's opinions of the show were influenced by this version. So in case you've only ever seen the dub, whenever you revisit the show, maybe consider trying the subtitled version for a change. I'm not one of those all dubs bad people. I just think it's really worth it.
I had an inconsistent viewing. Some English, some Japanese, some French. So my experience was kind of all over the place, to be honest. And not to knock the English dubcast. They are talented people and they can do good work. But I feel like they received poor direction.
Yeah.
And the otherwise butchering that they did to those episodes makes it, the Japanese version is easily the definitive version to watch. I don't hate Sonic X. There's a lot of highlights of it. The very early season 1 stuff is just, whoo, that's good stuff. That first episode, everyone coming together, invading the egg base, fighting Eggman's mechas and stuff, that's great stuff. Sonic breaking into the base to rescue Cream, the first time he and Knuckles fight, is hilarious and fantastic. The episode on the ocean liner where Sonic is just doing laps around the ship because it's nothing but water as far as the eye can see, that's the funniest episode ever. English and otherwise, that's just good television. the gimmick of the Monster of the Week roulette for Eggman makes sense. It's certainly a fine way to approach an episodic series like that. And it was okay, season 1 overall, but it did kind of feel like it's an episodic thing. The characters aren't being fully utilized. They could be doing more. We could be having grander adventures, but, nothing offensive. It was fine. Got a little too lost in the weeds with the extended cast, but that's, I'm being positive here. Mm-hmm. Season 2 being largely adaptations was kind of a mixed bag. When it was faithful, it was really cool. When they took liberties with it, it was less so. The Sonic Battle arc was kind of... It had some funny moments. It definitely had some funny moments, but it wasn't Sonic Battle. That would have been way more interesting, personally. Mm-hmm. And then season 3, I like Cosmo. And there are some highlights in that season, but I feel like the Metrics just don't look like Sonic characters, and the whole thing is, in parts, incredibly dark. Say what you will about Metal Virus, but watching people have vines grow up under their skin while they're still conscious is just that's too much for me. That's a step beyond the line.
That's some Poison Ivy and the Harley Quinn animated series stuff. Like, what?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That, and the kind of episodic, we got to find the planet eggs. Oh wait, no, we're going to completely forget that angle for the most part. And I don't know. I felt season 3 felt disjointed and unbalanced thematically, and as cool as it was to see Knuckles and Shadow fight and for Tails to launch Shadow out of that cannon, that didn't make up for the rest of the season.
Well, we do have one last question here from Peter M. You've got some cool tunes playing the intro and outro to these episodes. Is there a place where I can just listen to those iconic Bumble tracks? Yes.
Kyle, is there?
Yes, there actually is. If you go to soundcloud.com/BumbleKast, there is a playlist called BumbleKast Theme Songs, and I have not updated it in a while, but you will find all of the theme songs on that playlist there that we have used. So I actually need to upload the short ones that we use for some of our interstitial stuff and for the minis, and then also need to add the T-Lopes intro to that one as well. But yeah, go over there and you can check out the theme songs right there, soundcloud.com/BumbleKast. So by the time
Peter M for...
By the time you hear this, I will hopefully have updated that. So yeah, go check it out.
Thank you to Peter M for sponsoring this BumbleKast Mini. If you want one for yourself, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member at the $25 mark.
We'll see you next time.